It's now time for the final say in our stance against tyranny. It's now up to us to decide what comes next. Coming to you live from the depths of the rebellion, an American original, and the voice of the resistance. Ladies and gentlemen, your host, this is Joshua Coy.
Everybody, welcome to another edition of Shadow Radio on 101.1. I am your very stressed out Shadow Radio host. I am Joshua Coy. Welcome to the show, my kids, my children, my buddies. Alrighty. Daniel, have you ever seen me this stressed out? Really, I mean, before the show. I've trashed the studio, dude. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 books out here completely laid out. I got notebooks everywhere. I got 3 computers.
No, I can't say I haven't seen you that stressed.
Yeah, this is stressed, man. Really. And it's all my fault because I fell asleep on the couch and woke up and was late getting here and can't stand being late getting here because that means I don't have time for show prep. I'm a show prep guy. I like my prep. Like my stuff. You know that.
Well, to de-stress, you should take one from Master Miyagi. Breathe in, breathe out.
Oh, sorry. God, smoking. Thanks a lot, man.
Feel better?
Oh, yeah, thanks. Yeah, nothing wrong with smoking. No, not at all. Breathe in and you have a stroke. All right. You know, that's weird because I just watched a MASH episode while I was sitting on the couch, and it was one with Mr. Miyagi in it. No kidding. I'm not kidding. Mr. Miyagi was in a MASH episode. It was only like 3 of them. And that was one of the ones that I was watching when I nodded off. What's the connection? That's pretty weird, is it not?
It is.
How often do you mention Mr. Miyagi on the show? I mean, it's every week, obviously, but I mean, the fact that I watched a MASH show.
Every week I mention Mr.
I know.
Miyagi.
I mean, it's a mantra, man. It's Miyagi week. All right, now let's. Where have we gone, Daniel? You took us down a weird road, man, and I don't know what's happening.
It's time for the nitty-gritty and scary.
What?
What?
I don't know what's happening, man. All right, welcome to the show, kids. 2 minutes in, and Josh is all messed up. Yeah, that's pretty normal. Welcome to the show. I'm Joshua Coy. That's Daniel. We go back and forth. We don't know what we're doing. This is 101.1. We call it Shadow Radio. I call it improv radio for just that reason. Because I am really not all that well prepared. Actually, I just did so much. I did so much research in like an hour. I usually do at least 2 hours worth of research before the show, not to mention what I do during the week. And I don't like scrambling, but I had like an hour of research that I did enough research in 1 hour. I felt like I was back in college preparing for a test that I didn't know I had. That's what I really felt like I was preparing for a test. All right, now let me get to the test. Here we go. Hang on 1 second. What's happening? My phone's talking to me. Hang on a second. Let's see. Yeah, you're probably not supposed to answer people when you're on the air and text back and forth. I don't. Yeah, that's right. You want to go to the Facebook page and make fun of me? You can. JOSHUA space COY. I'm spelling it for you. Joshua Coy is the Facebook page. Go to the Facebook page. Joshua spacebar COY. And you can send me news stories, send me whatever you want. Whatever. You know, it's, yeah. All right. Here's what I have for you tonight. What I have placed together for you this evening. If you're new to the show, because I got a ton of new listener emails over the last week. Why? I don't know. But I appreciate it. I do. Or listener messages on Facebook. I don't know who's telling people about the show, but I always appreciate it. So anyway, man, I tell you, Daniel, I gotta calm down. I really do. I'm gonna take a hit of my cigarette. I'm gonna calm down. One second.
It'll be okay. Better.
And yet worse. Health-wise, I mean, I'm not promoting smoking, and yet I am. All right. Now, let's get into the news. Here's what I have for you. Here's what I have for you tonight. If you're new to the show, as I was saying, it is a very scramble-brained program. Purpose, it's kind of a purpose kind of thing. Yeah. All right, there we go. Daniel, you can open the front door. More than likely, it'll be being knocked on in a minute. Just letting you know. Yeah, welcome. This is called a live show. This is we're doing really good live radio tonight, aren't we? All right, now let's get into the nitty gritty and scary. If you're the show, that is what we call it. It's the nitty gritty. This is scary, and basically what we mean by that is we tell the truth on the show, and we do it in a way that is kind of funny, kind of scrambled brain, not really know what's going down, but at the same time we freak you out and we scare you all the time. So prepare to be afraid. What I have placed together for you in this last hour is a massive amount of information. Enough information to not only scare you, but enough information to, well, I tell you what, how about I just lay it out for you. Here's what I have for you tonight. I'm going to tie, pretty much every single story is tied together, which is kind of a theme. I mean, most of the time the stories are tied together. However, what I have tonight is really up there in the conspiratorial range, really up there in the master control range, I guess if you want to call it that. Right now, most people don't know, but right now, the elite of the world are meeting. The Bilderberg Group is meeting at the moment. The Bilderberg Group meeting is happening right now, and this is big news in the alternative media. Everybody's talking about it. The Bilderberg Group is, I think it's in Copenhagen that they're meeting. As most of you know, they meet once a year and plan what's going to happen in the next year or what's going to happen in the next 5 years illegally, which is it's not legal for world leaders to get together and plan what's going to happen on a national level. That's illegal, and it breaks the Logan Act. It breaks many laws in America. It makes many laws in Great Britain, national laws, universal laws. It doesn't matter. The Bilderberg Group meets once a year to plan what's going to go on. The alternative media is all over that. So with that in mind, I decided to kind of do a lot of stuff that's, Bilderberg related, Federal Reserve related, Agenda 21 related. And the reason I'm doing this is not because it's a recap. It's because this is what's happening right now. There's a massive amount of insanity going down right now that you don't have any idea is happening. So I figured, to scare the living Hades out of you, that's what I'm going to do tonight. But I'm going to do it in a way that I think you'll enjoy. So here we go. Let's go to the first story that I have for you. Actually, you know what I'm going to do first? I'll tell you what I'm going to do first for you here. Before I begin to piece this puzzle together, I thought I'd do one story that is not really connected. Well, it is, but it isn't connected to the Federal Reserve. It isn't connected to the, the federal government. Here's your quote, top of the page. This is going to be my first mellow, quote, mellow story of the night. Top of the page. This comes from Steve Watson. Here's your quote. The Department of Homeland Security. Before I read it, I did a story about this about, I guess it was 2-3 weeks ago, and the fact that it's back in the news is a little bit disturbing. It just proves how much they're really worried about shoppers. Yeah. It's a weird story. Quote, the Department of Homeland Security is promoting a new snitch program to keep shoppers safe. Remember, anytime the government wants to keep you safe, run like hell. Quote, businesses at malls carrying out training exercises with the federal government's approval. The Department of Homeland Security is promoting snitch programs in various malls, Walmarts, and many other shopping centers all over the country. Quote, the first story, when this first came out, this first story came out back in 2013. The Department of Homeland Security was testing it back in 2013, trying to figure out a way to put snitch programs in Walmart, to put snitch programs in a mall. Quote, the Department of Homeland Security is encouraging Americans to snitch on each other if they see anything, quote-unquote, suspicious at malls and shopping centers all over the nation. Quote, the Department of Homeland Security is urging shop owners and shoppers to report suspicious activity to local authorities, as well as ramping up display propaganda as part of its, quote, see something, say something campaign. Personally, when this thing first came out, This was back, the idea actually came from the mind of Janet Napolitano. So, you know, if big sexy Janet Napolitano has created something, you really, really need to run from it. However, the idea was kind of placed into the alternative media. Everybody was talking about it for a little while, and then everything kind of fell apart, and it just kind of faded away like most things do. However, the Department of Homeland Security is apparently putting more money into the program, and here's what it does. Several businesses have joined forces with the DHS to promote a snitch program. They include Mall of America, Walmart, Simon Property Group, and Building Owners and Managers Association. Former Department of Homeland Security head Janet Napolitano announced an expansion of the See Something, Say Something campaign into shopping centers. The press release states that the overall purpose is to, quote, raise public awareness of indicators of terrorism and terrorism-related crime, and to emphasize the importance of reporting suspicious activity to the proper local law enforcement authorities. Here's what it does. Basically, when you're at Walmart and you come up to, pay for all your goods or whatever, at many Walmarts already in America, I haven't ever seen any here in the South. I have seen people who literally had like YouTube videos showing me or showing you what goes on. You can even go to the Department of Homeland Security's website and see what they're doing. As you're paying for your goods at Walmart or wherever that the DHS has to deal with, a screen will pop up. A little monitor pops up. It's like a small little computer screen pops up. And you're paying for your stuff, and she's ringing it up. You're sitting there wondering why it's taking so long. And, you just got the boop, and then the boop, and then the boop, and then you get the price check on 3. We gotta need a price check on 3. And, you're like, man, I gotta go home. Guess what? You get to see Janet Napolitano pop up a little picture on the screen in front of you. You thought you were going to just swipe your card and, get the price check, and you're going to... No, you get a message directly from Big Sexy herself. The screen pops up, and she comes on, and she tells you, you need to watch out for the person behind you in line. Could be a terrorist. We all know those terrorists love to shop at Walmart. I mean, every time I'm at Walmart, they have those terrorist sales, and they just come in flowing. The Department of Homeland Security has decided, Walmart especially, is going to begin to have these little monitors, and they're going to pump more of your money into the system. The idea, according to the FBI, quote, is also taking part in the campaign with the businesses also carrying out training exercises for their staff. The Department of Homeland Security is going to go into Walmart, going to go into the Mall of America, going to go into various other shopping centers and train some of the people that work there. They're not telling you what the drills consist of, but it's all about making sure that you monitor the person behind you in line. It even tells you to report that person to a Walmart employee if you think they may be suspicious acting, or if you think there may be, like a bumper sticker on their... They actually mentioned that. A bumper sticker on their car that's, anti-Obama or possibly pro-Constitution. You need to report them to the Walmart staff. It says that. What kind of authority? The Walmart staff? I didn't know that the greeter? Apparently the greeter has massive authority now. You need to report something to the guy. He's going to throw you to the ground, put your arm behind your back, and you thought he was just this old guy. How you doing? Welcome to Walmart. No! The DHS is training these people. I'm not making that up. I got to go to the break, but when I come back from the break, I'm done with the story. Like I said, I got a lot to do. When I come back from the break, I'm going to play you the little message from the Department of Homeland Security that most of the people, I think it's in the northern states, and now they're trying to bridge it out west. I find it funny that they're avoiding the South. I think that's pretty hilarious. I think the DHS, the federal government, or the Obama administration, they don't like throwing things down into the South. We're going to wait. The South has a tendency to get a little upset when we want to tell them to, watch their neighbor for, terrorist activity. But remember, it's for your safety. That's right. Every time you feel your liberty being stripped from you, thank the good Lord that your liberty's being stripped from you, because it's for your sake. Your family's at risk. Alright, we're going to be back momentarily. When I come back, going to play a little video for you, going to drop the story, throw it on the ground, probably roll over it with a chair a time or two, then we're going to move on. I am Joshua Coy. This is Shadow Radio 101.1. We'll be right back.
Come on, get up, stand up. Brothers, stand up for your rights. Come on, get up, stand up. Sisters, don't give up the fight. I'm begging you.
The world men's record for the fastest registration with the Selective Service System remains under dispute. 18-year-old Dwayne G. of Cleveland claims to have registered online in a lightning-fast 18 seconds. But Ernesto Q. from L.A. says he beat that time by a full 1/10 of a second on his smartphone with one hand tied behind his back. This may take a while to settle. In the meantime, guys turning 18, visit sss.gov and see how fast you can register. It's quick, it's easy, it's the law.
So, who's going to do what? Flashlights?
Nowhere to be found.
Emergency supply kits?
Not packed.
Great. It sounds like we don't have a plan.
Winging it is not an emergency plan. Visit ready.gov/kids and make a plan today. Brought to you by FEMA and the Ad Council.
In 13 years, I destroyed a lot. Before I came to Teen Challenge, I was so lost and so broken. I was so depressed. I felt like I had nothing left. If you would have put the person that I am right now in front of me a year ago, I would have not believed that anything could do this. And it is all thanks to the Lord. No other answer could have done this for me. Praise God that I am free.
As you know, the pain and pressures of life often lead people into a lifestyle of drug or alcohol abuse. But no matter how long or how severe the addiction, there is hope. Teen Challenge is one of Alabama's oldest, largest, and most successful faith-based residential restoration programs. And it's not just for teens. Please, if you or someone you know is struggling with substance abuse, give us a call at 205-763-0909 or reach us on the web at alabamateenchallenge.org.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the show. Shadow Radio 101.1, Creedence Clearwater. Turn that up a little bit, man. A little more. That's good stuff, man. Creedence Clearwater, I love it. Welcome back to the show, kids. I'm Joshua Coy, Shadow Radio 101.1. Here's your little clip from Janet Napolitano. If you missed it, this is playing in Walmart. It's a Walmart quote-unquote public service announcement. And I'm done with this story because I have a lot of really massive stuff to get to and explain to you, because we're going to learn a lot tonight. I promise. We're going to learn a lot. Here's your quote from Janet Napolitano. If you missed it, former DHS head Janet Napolitano. Oh, I'm sorry. I do that every time I mention her name and then I see her and it just makes me nauseous. Former Department of Homeland Security head, Big Sexy Janet Napolitano, announced an expansion of the See Something, Say Something campaign into shopping centers back in 2010. Well, it kind of fell to the ground and nobody thought about it. However, now a new press release is stating that the overall purpose is now to raise public awareness of indicators of terrorism and terrorist-related crime, because it's everywhere. Look out under your bed, kiddies. There's a terrorist hiding under the bed. They're going to grab your toe when you get up and get the milk. And the terrorists are everywhere. Remember that. You don't need a constitution, because the terrorists are going to get you. Government here to save your life. Well, Janet's going to tell you what's going to go down. When you go to Walmart, you're going to get a little video message from Janet, whether you want it or not. you get a video message from Janet Napolitano. Here it is. It's on their website. This is it. Daniel, am I good? All right, here we go. Here's Big Sexy herself. Go, sweetheart.
Hi, I'm Janet Napolitano, Secretary of the Department of Homeland Security.
Sorry.
Homeland Security begins with hometown security. That's why I'm pleased that Walmart is helping to make our communities more safe and secure. If you see something suspicious in the parking lot or in the store, say something immediately. Report suspicious activity to your local police or sheriff. If you need help, ask a Walmart manager for assistance. Thank you for doing your part to help keep our hometowns safe.
And then there's a commercial for Pepto-Bismol, which I find funny because it's Janet and then the Pepto. And that just kind of goes together, doesn't it? All right, now, moving away from the DHS, I have a lot more to do. Here's your, hang on 1 second, move the mic out of the way here. Put the sunglasses back on. 1 second, hang on. All right. Here's your first major story of the night, day, whatever. Here's your quote. Now, the reason I wanted to do this is because of the Bilderberg Group, and the reason I'm going to move so quickly, well, that's kind of my thing, but one of the main reasons I'm moving so quickly tonight, I have a lot to talk about, and I have a lot to tell you, and we're going to learn a lot for those of you who don't know how the system works, because the reason I'm doing this is because what the Bilderberg Group is doing as I speak, they are meeting, they are deciding what our future is going to be. The reason I'm going to do what I'm about to do, the stories that I'm about to do, these aren't past stories. This is stuff that I found today, yesterday. This is what's going on right now. However, it is tied to what happened in the past and tied to what's going down with the Bilderberg Group as I currently speak. Now, one of the first things that our federal government is doing, the Obama administration is doing at the moment, the very first thing that I'm going to get to, and like I said, all of this is tied in together, and in the beginning you won't understand why, but stay with me. Here's your first quote. Let's see, who does this come from? Give credit where credit is due. Come on. Okay, yeah, this comes from the TeaParty.org news agency. Here's your quote. Obama is bypassing Congress once again. This story came out today. Obama is bypassing Congress once again. This time it's going to cost you. Quote. Next week, the Obama administration is planning to unveil a climate action plan that it intends to implement without legislative approval. It is a creative approach to governing the, well, not unlike other executive actions President Obama has taken to bypass Congress, when lawmakers refused to pass cap and trade, which they then turned into cap and tax, which they then turned into some kind of environmental protection distinction plan, which then kind of went back to cap and trade, and then they changed the name to trade and cap, and then it went back to tax and cap and trade and cap, and then they just wore caps with the word trade on them. Quote, Obama announced there was more than one way to skin the cat. Through climate plans, executive orders, and regulatory action, he directed his agencies to find ways to curb the country's carbon output and commit to reducing greenhouse gas emissions. How does this go to the Bilderberg Group? How does this go to them controlling our world? This is Agenda 21. That's what this is. Obama is about to bypass Congress once again. Why? Because he can't get his way. Every time this guy can't get his way, he throws out an executive action. Believe it or not, if you're new to politics, that's not something most presidents do. They try to stay away from that. Why? Because guys like me talk about it. Obama can't get his way through Congress. He can't get his way the legal way. He's throwing out another executive order. They have got to get cap and trade, which is basically nothing but Agenda 21. They've got to get this through, and they have to do it now. They've kept cap and trade kind of out of the way. They kept Agenda 21, and we're going to explain what Agenda 21 is right now. They've kept this out of the way. They've kept it out of the limelight. We've been doing Benghazi. We've been doing Fast and Furious. We've had Sarah Palin out there saying all kinds of insane stuff. Dinesh D'Souza's out there. Hillary Clinton's, and all this, political. If you're a political junkie, it's nonstop. But we haven't seen anything about cap and trade. We haven't seen anything about Agenda 21. Now he's about to throw out another executive order all of a sudden without even bringing anything up. This executive order is actually going to destroy nearly 600,000 jobs. It's going to decrease the average American's income by $1,200 per year. Look it up. Cap and trade, his cap and trade agenda, what he's about to do. Quote, regulations will take a significant toll on America manufacturing. Over 300,000 lost jobs immediately. They have to do all this right now. There's a reason, and here we go. Here's your quote. Al Gore, Agenda 21, and population control from theamericandream.com. This is a lot to take in. This is Agenda 21. This is why the Bilderberg Group is meeting, and this is why Barack Obama is about to do yet another executive action. Quote, exactly what is Agenda 21? The following is how the United Nations defines Agenda 21, which is cap and trade, which is cap and tax. Pick any name you want, that's what it is. Agenda 21 is a comprehensive plan of action. This is from the UN. It's a comprehensive plan of action to be taken globally, nationally, and locally by organizations of the United Nations system, governments, and major groups in every area in which human impacts the environment. When you start doing deep research into Agenda 21, you find very quickly describing it as a, quote, comprehensive plan is an understatement. Quote, virtually all forms of human activity impact the environment, according to the UN. Cap and trade is about global warming. Cap and tax is about the global warming initiative. Carbon taxing. Finding a way to tax you for driving your car. Remember when we did the story about how the guy wants to, tax you for every mile you drive? That's what this is about. That's what every bit of that's connected. Agenda 21 is not just about, your car. It's not just about where you live. It's about population control. Agenda 21 is very clear. The global warming initiative is very clear. You breathe. Human beings breathe. Therefore, human beings are a danger to the planet. That is baseline global warming agenda. They say that because we breathe, we harm the planet. Because there are so many of us, follow me, because there are so many of us, the government of the world, which is the UN, needs to do something to lower the population level by force. Quote, just this week, Al Gore made the following statement regarding population control and Agenda 21. Quote, one of the things, this is Al Gore, one of the things we could do about it is to change the technologies to put out less of this pollution, to find a way to stabilize the population. How do you stabilize the population, kids? One of the principal ways of doing that is to, quote, empower and educate women and girls. You have to have ubiquitous availability of fertility management. I love the way they talk. I love the way they talk. It's like they have no idea how to explain anything to a normal person. So women can choose, quote, how many children they have, the spacing of the children, where to place the children. Remember, the federal government and the Obama administration has gone to great lengths to tell you that your kids don't belong to you. Remember? Your kids don't belong. Your kids belong to a collective. Your kids belong to the community. That's Agenda 21. That's cap and trade. That's what Obama's about to push through executive order. Quote from Al Gore, you have to lift child survival rates so that parents feel comfortable having smaller families. Most important, you have to educate women. That's the most powerful leveraging factor. And when that happens, when the population begins to stabilize and societies begin to make better choices and more balanced choices, everybody will be happy. And everything will be nice and pretty and sweet, and there'll be, little fat cherubs dancing in the sky. If everybody would just stop breathing, there'd be fat cherubs and little rainbows and everybody. Guess whose family owns a bank in Switzerland that receives over half of the money for Agenda 21 and cap and trade? Guess whose family owns that bank? Well, it's Al Gore's family. Al Gore's family owns a bank in Switzerland which receives over half of the money from the federal government and the UN for cap and trade. But again, he cares about the children. Of course, caring about the children means, killing some of them. But, I mean, come on. They breathe. They're so annoying. Where do they come up with this stuff? Oh, we'll get to that. I'm Joshua Coy. This is Shadow Radio 101.1. It gets weirder. It gets louder. It gets creepier. We'll be right back. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the show. Shadow Radio 101.1. I am Joshua Coy. Welcome back, kids. Getting into the nitty-gritty, getting back into the nitty-gritty and the scary. I'm trying to get into several stories that are kind of tied in together, obviously. That's kind of my thing. Hang on a second. I'm going to take a sip of the beverage. Ice. All right, now, here's your quote. This is the first story that I had, and I'm going to kind of try to move this on. As I have a lot more to do, I'm trying to explain as much as I can in a small amount of time. However, as I said, this is all from the Bilderberg Group meeting. This is all from what's going on right now. This is being discussed as I speak. This is a story that I found earlier today, and it is one that is really going to cost. One, it's going to cost a lot of people jobs, and you know the average person, the average not you, the average sheep, the average American sheeple have no clue what Agenda 21 is, has no clue what cap and trade is, have no clue what any of this is, and you know that. And just because you don't know something, it doesn't make you an idiot. What makes you a sheep is willful ignorance. That is the disease that we have in America. And, you know, I say all the time on the show that the number of people who are waking up, that number is growing at an exponential rate so quickly, actually, that it's freaking, to put it in our language, it's freaking the elite out. The elite can't stand the fact that people are waking up. How are they waking? It's through the alternative media, as I said last week. That's a danger to national security. In their eyes, it's a danger to national security. But they've moved on. That was about 2 years ago that Zbigniew Brzezinski made that statement. That people waking up, it's a danger to the state. That was about 2 years ago. They've moved on from that. Where they are now is a much more dangerous place for us. I was reading some quotes from some people the other day, and what we're going to get to in a minute, the monetary system of our country, what's going on with Russia, what's going on with China, what's going on with Iran, all of this is impacting your life in ways you have no idea. And the future of this nation is so incredibly fragile right at the moment. That's where they are. They've kind of delegated paying attention to people like me, paying attention to shows like this, paying attention to the alternative media, paying attention to the internet, paying attention to websites that tell the truth, online radio shows that tell the truth, the number of people waking up. They've kind of delegated paying attention to that and fixing it, doing something about it. They've delegated that to the NSA. At one point, the elite, the top guys, were all over that. Now they've delegated it to the NSA. That's why you're seeing so much NSA crap. 5-6 years ago, the NSA, that was something that only people like me talked about. The Edward Snowden thing, I remember when people didn't have any idea what the NSA was, what the function of the NSA was. That's why you're seeing that. They've delegated the duty of taking care of this problem. Why? They have a lot more important things to do a lot quicker. That's what this is about. Here's your quote. This is a story that came out. Obama is bypassing Congress once again. This time it's going to cost you. That's the headline. He's throwing out another executive order for climate change, for the global warming initiative. Call it whatever the hell you want. The global warming initiative, climate change deniers, people like myself. I'm a climate change denier. They created that to kind of throw it in with a Holocaust denier. You ever heard anybody else say anything about? Well, he's a, I don't know. I'm an Auburn fan, so he's a Bama denier. He's an Alabama denier. That's what he is. I don't like Dell Computer. He's a Dell denier. They never use that. Who the hell talks like that? No, but if you don't believe in global warming, you're a global warming denier. They throw that in because it throws like a Holocaust connotation out. Well, you're a Holocaust denier. Well, you're global warming. No, I just pay attention. The global warming initiative has nothing to do with the planet. It has everything to do with the fact that you breathe and We're going to finish this because I have a lot more to do. Here's your quote. This is straight out of Agenda 21. This is straight out of what Obama is pushing through, regardless of what Congress says, regardless of what the American people say. Why? Because they are in a hurry. This has to be done. And I'll tell you in a minute why it has to be done quickly. Quote, population growth rates. The following is language from a UN resolution. Most Americans have no idea that the government is all about population control. Population control agenda is reflected in every UN resolution about Agenda 21. Most Americans don't have any idea about population. They don't even know what that is. Quote, the truth is that the global elite are absolutely obsessed with population control. In fact, there is a growing consensus among the global elite that they need to get rid of 80 to 90% of the American people. Quote, the number one commandment of the infamous Georgia Guidestones is this, quote, maintain humanity under 500 million in perpetual balance with nature. I don't have time to give you what the Georgia Guidestones say or what the Georgia Guidestones are. That's a whole nother show. The elite, look that up, write that down. The elite follow the Georgia Guidestones in many ways. Guidestones, for those of you who write everything down. Look up the Georgia Guidestones later. Quote, unfortunately, a very high percentage of our global leaders actually believe everything the Georgia Guidestones state. Everybody over there in the Bilderberg Group meeting right now as I speak, doing, I don't even want to know what. I don't even want to picture where Kissinger is at the moment, or where, like what orphans and children they have tied to a pole. I don't want to even picture where Brzezinski is at the moment, or where Kissinger is, or what he's doing. I don't even want it. But that's what's going down as I speak over in Copenhagen. That's where the Bilderberg Group meeting is. That's what they're talking about. Quote, unfortunately, a very high percentage of the global leaders believe in the ideas of the Georgia Guidestones, believe in the ideas of population control and lowering the population level of the planet. Quote, sadly, this philosophy is what Agenda 21 is all about. Quote, and we're finishing this up. The poorest nations on Earth are the primary target for the population control of Agenda 21, the Obama administration, the elite. The poorest nations on Earth are the primary target for lowering the population. Quote, this agenda showed up again when the United Nations Population Fund released its annual State of the World Population Report entitled, quote, Facing a Changing World, Women, Population, and Climate. They should have just, Facing a Changing World, Women, Population, and obliterating both of them. Quote, the following are three quotes pulled right from the UN document. I'm going to read you these, and then I'm going to move on. I've got too much more to do. And I know a lot of you would like me to focus on Agenda 21. I actually had several listeners send me messages saying, you know, you don't forget to mention Agenda 21 or the UN. I haven't done it in a while. And with the Bilderberg Group thing, a lot of people are thinking about it. This is a quote. This is directly from a UN resolution. This is directly from one of their population reports. Quote, each human birth on the planet Earth results not only in the emissions attributable to that person, in other words, each birth, the emissions, that's breathing. Each person that lives breathes. They are attributable to that person in his or her lifetime. But also the emissions of all of his or her descendants. Therefore, the emissions savings from intended or planned births multiply with time. The emissions savings from intended or planned births multiply with time. Because you breathe, and your dad breathes, and your mom breathes, and your kids are going to breathe as well, you are a danger to the planet. That's what that is. Each birth results not only in the emissions attributable to that person in his lifetime, but also to the emissions, breathing, of his or her descendants. Here's number 2. Quote, no human being on the planet is carbon neutral. This is a problem. No human being on the planet doesn't breathe. This is a problem. Quote, especially when all greenhouse gases are figured into the equation. Therefore, everyone is part of the problem. Every human on Earth is part of the problem, so everyone must be part of the solution in some way. Another quote. Number 3. Strong family planning programs. Family planning programs. That's in cap and trade. That's in Agenda 21. Strong family planning programs are in the interests of all countries for greenhouse gas concerns, as well as for broader welfare concerns. If no human is carbon neutral, then what is the solution? The solution is Agenda 21. The solution is population control, lowering the population of the planet. The Obama administration is throwing this thing through, doing another executive order. The guy's done so many freaking executive orders, it doesn't really matter anymore. That's my point. These guys don't care anymore about your opinion. That doesn't matter. My opinion doesn't matter. They've delegated it to the NSA. The NSA, I've got stories in front of me about the NSA sending the FBI to a woman's house because of something she wrote on Facebook. She broke some law because she insulted a government organization. The FBI was sent to her house because the NSA monitors Facebook. I've got it in front of me. They delegated it to the NSA. That's not a good thing. Obama is bypassing Congress again. This time it's going to cost you. You guys want to look this up again? Agenda 21. All of this, very easy to find. Not hard. Plenty more, obviously. Population control. All of this easy to find. This is the kind of stuff that Bill Gates loves to talk about. Lowering the population of the planet. They love it. The only reason I brought this out is because of this Obama bypassing Congress. Because of the Bilderberg Group meeting. Because this is what they're talking about. Gonna be back momentarily. When I come back, drop it at Agenda 21. Moving on. Got a whole lot more to do. I shall be back momentarily. I am Joshua Coy. This is Shadow Radio 101.1. We'll be right back.
Today is gonna be the day that they're gonna throw it back to you. By now you should have somehow realized what you gotta do. I don't believe that anybody feels the way I do about you now. Backbeat, the word is on the street that the fire in your heart is out.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the show. Shadow Radio 101.1 Uno 0.Uno. Yeah, I'm bilingual.
It's the superstation.
That's right.
101.
Yeah, that was pretty good, man. Do that again.
101.
That was not bad. That's not bad. Yeah, that guy, man, I'm telling you. That guy creeps me out.
Sam Elliott, I think.
Yeah, it's not Sam Elliott. Sam Elliott's cool. We're talking about the guy who does all the promos for 101. They call him the Cowboy. I don't know, man. The guy creeps me out personally. He sounds like somebody's like got kids like stuck in his basement. Superstation 101. I'll be right back. I gotta go to the basement. What the hell is going on in the basement? I don't know, and I don't want to know. The guy creeps me out, man. We'll be right back from the basement. What? No, please don't. Just stop. What? He's back in the room. That guy creeps me out, man. All right. Thank you for freaking me. I get this guy chills down my back every time I think of the guy. And it's not Sam Elliott. I love Sam Elliott. He's cool. He was in Big Lebowski. He's cool, man. You've seen Big Lebowski, haven't you?
I've seen parts of it. I haven't seen the whole thing.
That's right. I've asked you that 1,000 times, probably. We need to get you Big Lebowski, man. It's one of the classics. All right, now, here's what I'm going to do for the last 10 minutes of the top of this hour, to the top of this hour. What I'm going to do when I come back is I'm going to move on to the next part of this little diatribe. We're going to open the phone lines up. But, however, we're also going to get into what's going down with the money in this country, how that relates to the Bilderberg Group, and how that relates to the elite, Agenda 21, killing all of you because you breathe. We're not going to do that anymore. After the top of the hour, I'm going to move on. But what I have for you after the top of the hour is equally freaky, but a little bit more in depth when it comes to the elite. We're going to get into why they do what they do. However, before I went to the top of the hour, I decided I was going to freak you out a little bit more with a story that you've never heard, and I'll probably guarantee most of you conspiracy junkies and most of you who listen to the show all the time, you probably never heard this one. I hadn't. One of the things that, finishing off the massive amount of the population, and that's not really what this is about, but this is just kind of a story that's related to it. I'm just going to cover it until the top. One of the things that they control, one of the things that they monitor, that they control, is the World Health Organization. The World Health Organization supposedly goes out to poor countries, supposedly goes out to third world nations, even goes out to nations. It goes out to it doesn't just go to poor countries and help people who have no home. The World Health Organization monitors a great deal all over the nationwide because it's controlled by the United Nations. This is about Agenda 21 in a way. This is kind of what happens when the elite go into a country and begin to experiment with it through Agenda 21, the World Health Organization, and killing people. Here's your quote. Remember back in 2009, we had the swine flu story. Everybody remember that? Everybody remember the swine flu craze? 2009, if you think back, you remember people waiting in line to become vaccinated with some mysterious vaccine that had all kinds of deadly, the squalene adjuvant, had, thimerosal, and Lord only knows what, made by who was it, Novartis Pharmaceuticals, the largest pharmaceutical company in the world, owned and operated by our government. That was the swine flu story. That was 2009. What we didn't know is what was going on in a very popular place right now, in the Ukraine. The elite, this is one reason why we're in the Ukraine right now. The real reason. Quote, in late October of 2009, the swine flu story took another turn when the best part of 2 million people in the Illuminati-controlled Ukraine went down with a virulent respiratory illness and hundreds died. Hundreds of people died in the Ukraine. Nobody in America covered it. Quote, post-mortems of the people who died in the Ukraine of this mysterious disease, it was a respiratory illness, it was not reported at all. Post-mortems were reported to have revealed that some of the dead had black lungs that seemed to have been burned. This was a trait with many people who died in the killer outbreak of 1918. Researchers had claimed before this that the 1918 strain had been re-engineered from the DNA of a corpse killed in that pandemic. No one seemed to know the cause of the illness in the Ukraine. The World Health Organization was sent out to make it look good. Some suggested it was a stronger strain of H1N1 being tested on the people of the Ukraine by the World Health Organization. The WHO has been kind of caught in the past of injecting people with what they called a vaccine for AIDS back in this is back in the late 80s. They were caught for injecting people with what they said was some kind of something that was going to help you prevent getting the AIDS virus, and this was in Africa. But what they found out was that everybody that was shot up with this so-called, protectant, this vaccine, they got AIDS and died. All of them. Every one of them. World Health Organization admitted it, and we just moved on. This is the Ukraine, though. Hundreds of people died. They had black lungs. When they opened them up, their lungs looked like they had been burnt. Quote, World Health Organization instigated genetic tests but refused to reveal the detailed findings. Quote, Professor Victor Baczynski, head of the can't pronounce it, Regional Forensic Bureau, said that people were dying from viral distress syndrome. Destruction of the lungs, he said. What made all this even stranger was that 3 months before the Ukraine outbreak, a Los Angeles talk show host, Dr. Drew Ott, never heard of the guy, on the Republic Broadcasting Network, said that a man named Joseph Mosh had called him to say that Baxter International Laboratory in the Ukraine, the guy has a show in Los Angeles, talk show host, this is during this outbreak in Ukraine, nobody was talking about it. Well, this guy decided he was going to start talking about it. He did his research, he began talking about it. He was a doctor. He had a radio show, Republic Broadcasting Network in L.A. A guy named Joseph Mosh called him to say that, quote, the Baxter's International Laboratory in the Ukraine had created a biological weapon with the assistance of the American government and planned to put it into vaccines to kill millions in America and around the world. Now, he told this to this guy who was an LA talk show host. Quote, it has been reported that Mosh is a Mossad microbiologist with a dual American-Israeli citizenship. The day after Ott said they had their conversation, Joseph Mosh was stopped by an FBI hit squad while driving his car in L.A. Apparently, so reporters say, on his way to an Israeli consulate to try to avoid being arrested by the FBI. He was surrounded and attacked with tear gas and non-lethal weapons in a standoff lasting an hour, and some sort of microwave weapon was employed which blocked the electronics in his car and all communication devices. The FBI said that he had made a phone call threatening to bomb the White House, and that's why they went after him. I'm giving you this story to give you just an example, bring it down to earth for you. Quote, before the sudden outbreak in the Ukraine, there had only been 2 cases of swine flu reported. No one had died. At the time of the writing in the story, official figures say that 1.58 million people have been infected, with some 500 dead, but the worst of the outbreak was over, so they said, at least for now. Another aspect of the Ukraine situation, days before the outbreak, hundreds of people contacted newspapers in the capital to complain about aircraft spraying an aerosol substance on their homes and businesses. Local business owners said they were advised by the government to stay indoors during the day by the local authorities. There were reports of helicopters spraying aerosols over Kiev and throughout the Ukraine. The authorities denied that there had been any spraying. Unfortunately, people recorded it. Small planes fly over my home, said one resident, and my town of Ryde on the Isle of Wight, dropping a gum-like substance that you can see afterwards all over the pavement and roads in the aircraft's flight path. After these planes flew over, spraying this aerosol spray and the strange gum-like substance, hundreds of people began to report that they were ill. Over 500 died. Over 1.58 million were infected. The World Health Organization sent people out there to study it. Did you hear anything about that? Hear anything about that? This is 2009. We think back to 2009 and we remember what happened with swine flu here. It was a little scary. What went down in the Ukraine. Where are we now? What's going on in this nation? What's going on in this world right now? Where are we? In Ukraine. So much more.
It's now time for the next phase of destructive reasoning. Hour number 2 is about to begin. Broadcasting live from deep in the enemy's council. The only show where reception is reality and the truth a crusade. The host of Shadow Radio. This is Joshua Coy.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the show, Shadow Radio 101.1. I am your Shadow Radio host, Joshua Coy. Welcome to hour number 2, my friends, my kiddies, my children. Welcome to the Shizo Part Deuce number with 2 lines and Roman numeral and I and I. Yeah, man. Well prepared.
That was a good intro.
Who's the man? Those intros, man, I tell you. Maybe I should write something out. What do you think? I don't know.
No, I think you should just free flow like you
just keep throwing whatever out. Yeah. All right.
It works better that way.
Yeah. Hey, thank you for the improv radio. I'm so glad I called that. All right. I do that for a reason. That's not like some marketing thing. I do that because I screw up from time to time. You like that? Cool. That was pretty cool. All right, now. 1 second. Hang on.
And you do your own sound effects.
I do my own sound effects. Yeah, I do. That's right. Mr. Miyagi taught me that one. Okay. All right. Welcome to the show, kids. Now, if you guys want to give me a call, we have the... What? Lines open. Yeah, okay. Reading and talking at the same time does not work for Josh, apparently. All right. Yeah, we got the lines open. You guys want to give me a call, you can. 1-866-551-9933. 1-866-551-9933. I've been talking about the Department of Homeland Security throwing these delightful photos and videos of the beautiful and elegant Janet Napolitano with that glorious, sexy voice and the people behind you, and they're probably terrorists. You want to meet me in the sauna? No, Janet, I'm good. Thanks, sweetheart. No, I'm good. So, yeah, we have those at Walmart now. And apparently they're putting up Pepto-Bismol right beside the monitor, and they're selling out. Janet Napolitano, Pepto-Bismol. It goes right hand in hand. So, apparently, Pepto is sponsoring the Department of Homeland Security, throwing videos in Walmart and malls all over the country to tell you that the guy behind you lying to terrorist. I'm not kidding. Look it up. The DHS's website plays the video for you. We played it for you earlier. I might play it for you again. I got a few people on Facebook telling me they want to hear it again. I may play it again. Also, doing the Agenda 21, population control. Why? Because the Bilderberg Group is meeting as I speak. Lord only knows what they are doing right now. They are meeting. They've been meeting for, I don't know, like last few days. As usual, when the Bilderberg Group meets, no one is allowed. The police, whatever country they're in, spy agencies, that would be the NSA, that would be the FBI, that would be even the CIA, monitor the Bilderberg Group meetings so that no one can, breach the security. No news agency is ever allowed to see what goes on in there. I think that's actually a good thing. They're a bunch of dirty old men who do all kinds of weird secret society rituals. You don't want to see it. I don't want to see it. I'd like to have like a bug in there maybe that didn't have video. Maybe I could hear some cool stuff about what they're about to do to kill everybody. But outside of that, I don't want a video. I don't want to know what Kissinger does when nobody's looking. Now, because of the Bilderberg Group meeting, we're about to get into the global monetary system, and no, it's not going to be boring math, I guarantee you. It's going to be freaky and scary and nitty-gritty. So, if you want to give me a call, you can. 1-866-551-9933. 1-866-551-9933. Somebody just sent me a message on Facebook saying, I don't want to call in because I want to hear what else is going to be on the show. Hey, I appreciate that. Let me go ahead and get to Ed real quick. I got Ed on line 1. 1 second, Ed. Hey, Ed.
Oh, good evening. I'm kind of like that sometimes. I just want to listen. But anyway, I'm looking forward to what you say about the global monetary system. It sounds spooky.
It's going to be weird.
But anyway, now I was going to ask you, did you happen to see the interview with Snowden this week?
No, I did not, and I have it on my favorites on my computer. I can't wait to watch it, actually.
They actually had an hour that wasn't on TV on the net, and I'm not on the net, so I didn't get to see where they tried to tell you what you just saw. One of those things,
Did you see what was on TV, though?
Yeah, I did see it, and I thought Snowden, I was not aware that he was not even a high school graduate. I'm just in there, wow. This guy, if he'd had the educational credentials, could have been whatever he wanted to be. And I guess he was doing what he wanted to do anyway, and it was just, the guy's brilliant. I mean, he's naturally brilliant. He was probably bored in school.
Yeah, he's kind of your, I don't know, typical nerdy-looking kid, but very incredibly intelligent, and had a really hot and sexy girlfriend, and made a ton of money in Hawaii, and was living the good life. So I think that's the kind of why I, and a lot of other people, respect the guy. And I believe he's not a traitor, obviously. I mean, somebody like me, of course I believe he's not a traitor. I believe he's a patriot. doing what he did.
By the way, that's a good question to put to our future prospective Republican congressman. What do you say about Eric Snowden? I did that once this week. And but anyway, another question before I comment on one of the key points in the Snowden interview that really struck me. Just a question I'll throw out there. I mean, even if the world is global and the global, excuse me, I take that. I mean, if global warming is true, that's what I meant to say. Excuse me. If global warming is true, where is it written that that's a bad thing? I mean, do people just assume that it's catastrophe? And I just don't know that that's necessarily a bad thing. I mean, whether it's warming or not, there's not even enough hard science to say that on a scientific basis. It's just, I think it's just mainly a tool to try to control us, and I think that's what the UN's all about.
I do too, honestly.
But the key thing about the Snowden interview, and I'll just get off the air and listen. But I still need some feedback on where's the conservative people who believe that Snowden's not a traitor, but he's actually a hero or a whistleblower. I mean, I wonder if they're supporting this time around in the governor's race. I mean, not only the governor's race, but all the various races, especially Congress. Who are they supporting, and are these candidates on record on what they say about Eric Snowden? Because he made an interesting point on why he hasn't come back to stand trial, because everybody's thinking he's just a coward. He says there's an Espionage Act, and basically he would not be able to put on the proof of why he did what he did to justify it in a legal sense. Because of this Espionage Act, all they would do is cry, we can't allow you to put that evidence on because of national security.
Right.
And so basically that's why he hasn't come back for a trial. And and I think that that was an interesting point. And I talked to a lawyer after that, and basically there are such concerns in the law that it would make it almost impossible for him to get a fair trial.
There's no way he could get a fair trial.
And in fact, Secretary of State Kerry and Obama and all the Palinone, even Republican Speaker of the House Boehner, I mean, these people, they just make me ill because they're so heavy-handed. Just the fact that they've prejudiced the jury pool in all of the United States with their comments on the mass media shows that there's no way the man could actually really get a fair trial in this country, considering the nature of apparently this Espionage Act, as well as just the heavy-handedness of our government. And talk about frightening, that scares me more than anything. Just the fact that they would go on and basically amount to what is a declared war against Eric Snowden.
Well, the thing that's funny to me, and there's no way he could get a fair trial. I comprehend, I very much comprehend why he doesn't want to come back here. It's not just the trial. This guy was really high up in the NSA, or not high up in the controlling of the NSA. He was just one of the cogs in the machine, but a very intelligent cog in the machine. And I think he understands if he were to come back here, he may die very quickly.
Well, I think paradoxically, it might not. That the fact that he's in Russia might actually serve to protect him more so than if he'd actually gone to Latin America. I think the CIA probably could better kill him in Latin America, and I would like to think that our CIA wouldn't do that. And if they were just gathering information on our potential adversaries about their will, their political will, and their ability to kill us with weapons in war, and I would not have any problem with that kind of activity on the CIA's part. But since they're covertly killing and sowing seeds of revolution around the world, I just think that there's a real problem with that. And I think if we would just move more toward the Ron Paul foreign policy, we'd be better off. I mean,
yeah,
I'm not totally there yet myself, but I think in that direction we need to move into where our military forces for deterrence, not for being world policeman. And I just don't think we need a war with Russia right now. Speaking of the Ukraine, and that thing is so confused. I don't know which side are we going to get on. The people who are nostalgic about the Soviet Union or the neo-Nazis? Which side are we going to be on in that war? I mean, right now we're aiding Al-Qaeda. We're aiding Al-Qaeda in Syria. We're giving them weapons, covertly, of course, because publicly, for public consumption, we're not involved in that. On the other hand, covertly, we're actually providing weapons to Al-Qaeda, and these are the people that are butchering Christians in Syria.
Yeah, I know. That's why I don't trust the government at all anymore. I don't trust them to do any of the jobs that tell them to do or we give them. I don't trust them at all.
But anyway, just real quick, I think it's an interesting question to put out to our politicians.
I agree with
you. What
you.
do you say about Eric Snowden?
I agree with you. I appreciate it very much, man.
Thank you.
All right, have a good one. Yeah, I agree. I think that should be on the ballot. Right, Stripper. What do you feel about Eric Snowden? What's your personal opinion? Oh, well, that's not valid. That's not a valid question. Really? That's what everybody else wants to know. Anybody that's paying attention. I always wonder about the people that I'm around whenever I'm voting. I look around and I'm like, does that guy really have any idea what the hell's going on, or is he just here? I think I figured I'd vote. I wanted one of those stickers. I just wanted one of those stickers that said I voted. You have any idea what you're doing? No, I just wanted the sticker. And there's a cookie over there. I wanted the cookie. Cookie voting. Get you some cookie voting. All right, we're going to be back momentarily. I'm Joshua Coy. Shadow Radio. We'll be right back.
Except for the bombs, except for the youth that's gone, so we keep it on till you're coming home. Higher and higher, fire, light up your light.
Unexpected reactions to smart financial decisions brought to you by feedthepig.org.
Well, I finally did it. I opened a 401k.
So you're giving up? Just like that?
Giving up on what?
On getting an inheritance from a distant relative.
Don't you think if there were a billionaire in the family, we'd know about it by now?
Listen to me. We are one phone call away from riding horses on our own private polo grounds. One call from christening yachts, having a butler, using summer as a verb.
How do you figure?
Look, everyone's got a rich uncle somewhere. It's statistics. So the best thing you can do is just prepare for the inevitable.
Right, which is why I thought maybe it would be smart to take control of my finances. You know, start using a budget, get out of debt, set some retirement goals.
Budgets? Debt? You watch your mouth. Retirement shouldn't be a goal for us. It should be a way of life.
When it comes to financial stability, don't get left behind. Get tools and tips for saving at feedthepig.org. This message brought to you by the American Institute of CPAs and the Ad Council.
A single ember that escapes from a wildfire can travel over a mile, carrying a world of trouble. It can land, ignite, and destroy your home and community. You can't control where that ember will land, only what happens before it does. With simple things like clearing areas around buildings, knowing community safe zones, and being prepared for wildfires, you could keep this from turning into this. Your home is better protected from wildfire when your whole community is prepared. Visit fireadapted.org for more tips on how to get started adapting your home and community to wildfires. A public service message brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service and the Ad Council.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the show. Shadow Radio 101.1. I'm Joshua Coy. Getting back into the nitty gritty and the scary, about to get into the world monetary system / Federal Reserve / we're destroying our dollar / it's not going to be boring in math, I promise. All right, here's your quote. Top of the page, first story that I have here for you. This is the story that I wanted to start off with, and this is kind of going to give you a little bit of background on what we're about to do. And again, the reason we're doing this, for those who haven't heard it, Bilderberg Group meeting to decide what's going on for the rest of our lives, for the next year, basically, which is possibly the rest of our lives when it comes to this country. You never really know at the moment. And here's the background on why a lot of people are asking me, why I've been asked, I get asked at least 10, 15 times a week, do I believe the dollar is about to fall? Do I believe that the dollar's place as the world reserve currency is about to fall? Yeah, I do. And the only reason I do is not because I'm a conspiracy theorist or a conspiracy therapist. The reason that I do is because I know what I'm about to tell you. Here's your quote. This is a little bit of past for you. Everybody remember when we went over and did the whole Gaddafi thing? Everybody remember? It wasn't very long ago. The Libyan dictator, Muammar Gaddafi. Nobody knows how to spell his name correctly. Even his own people had posters didn't even spell his name correct. Nobody has any idea how to spell the guy's name. Doesn't matter anymore. Anyway, everybody remember the Muammar Gaddafi thing. Just like Ed was saying, we give a lot of money, American citizens' money, to fight wars overseas that we don't really care about and we don't need to be fighting. We do it through NATO. We do this for a reason. We do this for money. Here's one of the main reasons why we had to get rid of Muammar Gaddafi. This is when Muammar Gaddafi was targeted by our government, by the Obama administration, and by the elite. And this is going to be very important to what we're about to get to. This is basically all about the American dollar. That's what the whole thing with Gaddafi was about. Quote, speculation that Libyan dictator Muammar Gaddafi was targeted by NATO and the American government and the elite because of his plans to introduce a solid gold dinar, a single African currency made from gold, a true sharing of the wealth, as he said. Gaddafi called on all of Africa and all African nations, all Muslim nations. This is before we went after him. He called on all the African nations, the Muslim nations, to join together to create a new currency. He went from country to country for over 4 years, this guy. It was like he was running for president of half the world or something. Like he was on a campaign. He was on a campaign to decimate the American dollar from behind. Gaddafi went from country to country, all Muslim nations, all African nations, to get them to join together to speak to their leaders to create a new currency, a new solid gold currency, the dinar. If you want to look it up, D-I-N-A-R. A single currency made from gold that would usurp the U.S. dollar. Quote, Gaddafi called on all these nations to join together to create a new currency that would rival the U.S. dollar and the euro. The plan was to sell oil and other resources around the world only for gold dinars instead of dollar bills. A country's wealth would depend on how much gold they have, not how much dollars they have to trade. Those of you who are already lost, I understand. Here's how money functions in America. This is how money functions all over the world. The Federal Reserve, the Fed, controls the monetary system of our country and practically the entire world. The Federal Reserve Bank is not a federal bank. It is not a federal anything. It's as Federal Express, to quote a lot of other people. The Federal Reserve has nothing to do with our government. It is not owned, it is not operated, it is not controlled by our government. The Federal Reserve is not federal. Can't say that enough. It is a central banking cartel created by a bunch of rich men back in 1914 to try to find a way to control all currency in America without using Congress, by going around what the Constitution says and usurping the Constitution, getting the president, who at the time was Woodrow Wilson, to sign what's called the Federal Reserve Act, 1914. Getting him to sign this act so that they would control currency in America. They would dictate currency in America. The only way to do that was to create panic, bank panic. They did that through the elite, J.P. Morgan, all these incredibly rich men back in the early 1900s. They created an artificial bank panic, a run on the bank. A run on the bank is when everybody freaks out and thinks that the dollar's about to fall or that money is about to just disappear, and they run to the bank to get all their money out of it at the same time before their neighbor does. Well, then the neighbor gets the idea and he runs to the bank, and then so on and so forth until everybody's at the bank at one time saying, "Give me my money back." That goes out to half the nation. It freaks out the entire country. What are we going to do? This system's obviously not working. My money is going to disappear one day. What do I do? The government can't control the banks anymore, and there's going to be a run on the bank. What are we going to? How are we going to control it? If the country can't control it, the government can't control it through the Congress. What are we going to? That's what they did. It's called a bank panic, and people panicked, and people ran to the bank to get their money. Half of the country did it because it was manufactured by these men. They then went to the president, Woodrow Wilson, who they had assisted in putting in power, and they told him, look, we can keep this going all day long. Through our power, through our wealth, through our ability to control others, we can keep this bank panic thing going all day long. Or you can sign the Federal Reserve Act and give the Federal Reserve control over the dollar. We'll even call it a federal thing. It doesn't have to be federal. The people don't know what the hell's going on. He signed the Federal Reserve Act. Woodrow Wilson signed the Federal Reserve Act. Quote, many people are shocked to discover that the Federal Reserve System is a cartel, not a bank, not anything, not a federal system. No different than a banana cartel or a drug cartel or an oil cartel. It's a banking cartel composed of the largest and most powerful American banking institutions. The group wrote a cartel agreement in 1913, persuaded Congress to give it the status of the law. That way the cartel can be sure that all banks will conform to the agreement or be subject to criminal prosecution. In other words, the banks that didn't want to do this, they figured out a way to make Congress say, and put it into the law, you'll go to prison if you don't sign, if you don't come over and give your banks authority under the Federal Reserve. They met, they did it, done. This is what Woodrow Wilson stated. This is one of the most famous quotes from Woodrow Wilson. Quote, since I entered politics, I have chiefly had men's views confided to me privately. Some of the biggest men in the United States in the field of commerce and manufacturing are afraid of somebody. They're afraid of something. They know that there is a power somewhere, so organized, so subtle, so watchful, so interlocked, so complete, so pervasive, that they had better not speak above their breath when they speak in condemnation of it. Woodrow Wilson said that after signing the Federal Reserve Act. He said he believed that he had destroyed his own country. He blamed himself for the death of America. A power somewhere, so organized, so subtle, so watchful, so interlocked, so complete. They had better not speak above their breath when they speak in condemnation of it. That's the President of the United States. But there are no conspiracies, man. No. The President is the most powerful person in the world. Done. He's not afraid of anybody. He has total power. Really? I think we know now the President is a puppet. As far back as 1913, the President's been a puppet. They control him like a dictator. Bankers control everything. Over half of the people at the Bilderberg Group meeting right now, bankers. Now, that we've done the Gaddafi thing, this is why Gaddafi was gone after. This is why they went after him. He had decided that he was going to go and stop the Federal Reserve from the inside out. And it kind of sounds like a good idea. Actually, it was a good idea. So good that they decided to target him and kill him. Quote, Libya has 144 tons of gold. By comparison, the United Kingdom has double that amount, but 10 times the population. Had the plan of Gaddafi succeeded, it would have shifted the economic balance of the world instantaneously. Here's another quote. If Gaddafi had an intent to try to reprice his oil or whatever else the country was selling on the global market and accept something else as a currency or maybe launch a dinar currency, any move such as that would certainly not be welcomed by the power elite who are responsible for controlling the world's central banks, the Federal Reserve. When people in Libya buy oil, for those of you who don't know, when people in Germany buy oil, when people in Russia buy oil, when people in China buy oil, when people in Iran buy oil, they don't buy it in their currency. They buy it in the dollar. Because the dollar is the standard. What they're trying to do is shift it. If you could shift it from behind, you wouldn't have to take over America. You could usurp America from the inside out. That's the plan. When I come back, you're going to figure out why that plan is so incredibly important and a lot more detailed and a lot more deadly to our country as I speak. We'll be back momentarily. I'm Joshua Coy, Shadow Radio 101.1. You want to give me a call, you can. 1-866-551 9933, 1-866-551-9933. We'll be right back.
Pulling out jobs and jamming the handouts, tables and a microphone, bottles and cans. Just clap your hands, just clap your hands. Where's that? I got two turntables and a microphone. Where's that?
Superstation 101 WYDE, Alabama's 13, and the American Diabetes Association is proud to announce the annual Father of the Year Awards. Each year, the Father's Day Council and the American Diabetes Association honors fathers who have demonstrated the ability to balance their personal lives, serve as role models for their children, and help make a positive impact in their communities. Congratulations to Wayne Barfield, MD, Daniel Bolingaro, Pastor Van Moody, Larry Schleifer, and Sheffield Young as our Father of the Year Award winners. For more information, log on to diabetes.org. Brought to you by Superstation 101 WYDE.
Hey, parents of children with asthma, here's the Breathe Easies with another one of your favorite hits.
Don't smoke in the house. Don't smoke in the house. Don't smoke around the kids in the house. Don't smoke in the car. Don't smoke in the house. Don't break my heart with your secondhand smoking. These kids, it can trigger the asthma.
Preventing asthma attacks can be as simple as making your home and car smoke-free zones. For more Breathe Easy tips to help stop asthma attacks, go to noattacks.org or just keep listening.
Vacuum up the floor. Hey. Vacuum up the floor. Yeah. Vacuum up the floor. The asthma trigger is no more. You gotta vacuum up the furniture and vacuum in the cracks because the dander in the dust can give kids asthma attacks.
Simple steps can help your kids breathe easier. Vacuum up the floor to keep your house free of dust, dander, and dust mites. For more Breathe Easy tips to help stop asthma attacks, go to noattacks.org. Brought to you by the EPA and the Ad Council.
Back about 18 and 25, I left Tennessee very much alive. I never would have made it through the Arkansas mud if I hadn't been riding on a Tennessee stud. Had some trouble with my sweetheart's paw. One of her brothers was a bad outlaw. I wrote a letter to my Uncle Fudd, and I rode away on a Tennessee stud. The Tennessee stud was...
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the show. Shadow Radio 101.1, Johnny Cash, obviously. I'm Joshua Coy, getting back into the nitty-gritty and scary. It's hot, incredibly hot in this dang studio. We got a bunch of people running around. Mr. MCO and my friend Chase Pearson's here from Magic City Online, AlabamaAfterDark.com. You want to check out his website, AlabamaAfterDark.com. Good friend of mine. And a lot of people apparently Daniel and I are used to being alone. There's people in here. We're like, what's happening? We don't know. We know there's people running around. We don't know what's going on. It's kind of creepy. We're usually here all alone, and we can do whatever we want and throw things around. And there's people running around.
And we hear the voices too.
Well, I hear those when we're alone. Never mind. No, I don't. Man, just kidding. All right, getting back into it. Gonna finish it. I promise. I know it's been a long story, and I know it's been very detailed. So we actually got several people on the Facebook page who have sent me messages stating that they don't want to call. I appreciate that. I really do. They don't want to call because they want to hear the rest of the story. I've never had people say that before in that much of an overwhelming statement. Let me get to the phones here. I got Susie on line 1. You guys, if you do want to give me a call, you can. 1-866-551-9933. 1-866-551-9933. Let me get to Susie here. Hey, Susie.
Hey there, Josh. I'm not going to talk long either because I wanted to call in earlier, but I just couldn't stop listening.
Thank you, ma'am.
That's funny.
I appreciate it.
I just wanted to make a quick comment, and I always got to thinking, when a group of people, no matter who they are, want to reduce other people to poverty, or when those people want to say that breathing and living is being interpreted as a danger to national security because our breath emits carbon causing fake greenhouse gas. These are evil people doing evil things with evil intent, and it nauseates me. And when you played that tape earlier of that Janet woman,
Yeah.
and I can't even hardly say her name. When you played the clip, you know, about how she wants everybody that's in Walmart to look at everybody around them and think about, could this be a terrorist? Actually, to be honest with you, I didn't get to hear the whole clip because her voice brings on an instant physical response in my body that causes dry heaves.
Yeah, you're not alone. You're not alone. That's why they put all the Pepto up around. I'm telling you.
When I heard you
the
say
stock
that,
goes
I went,
up.
"Oh."
The stock goes up on the Pepto. I'm telling you.
Yeah, the price goes up. That's right. Well, I had one more thing for your listeners. We're always talking about they this and they that.
That's right.
And I got to thinking, who are they? And so I've got you whatever it's called. They, terrorizing hate mongers employed by you.
Oh, it's an acronym.
It's an acronym.
Oh, okay, all right.
Terrorizing hate mongers employed by you.
Oh, I like that.
It's not bad.
That's not bad.
All right, you have a great evening, and thank you so much for teaching us.
All right, thanks a lot, Susie. Have a good one. Be careful.
Okay, bye.
All right. All right, let me get back into this here. You guys want to call, you can. 1-866-551-9933, 1-866-551-9933. And I promise I am gonna finish the story. As I was saying, the Gaddafi thing, that was why it was so important. I know a lot of people at the time were going, why are we going into Libya? And not only were we going into Libya, I don't care about this guy. And the people that were so-called supporting are killing Christians. Not just killing them, but, you know, chopping their heads off. Well, let's give them some money. Well, we're doing it right now anyway. Several Muslim nations, I read that story last week, they're crucifying Christians who are children. But we're giving them money. That was why we did it. Because Gaddafi had that plan to usurp the Federal Reserve from the back end. Well, guess what? That was a really good plan. A lot of people liked it, unfortunately. Over the last several months, we have talked about how the Russians and the Chinese have been throwing troops into this country. Those of you who listen to the show all the time, and I appreciate it, you know that we have talked a lot about the Russians throwing troops into this country. The Chinese with a lot of troops, not just regular average Chinese people or Chinese troops. No, we're talking about commandos. We're talking about units of very specially trained Russians and Chinese that are here living in this country. There's a Chinese military base in America. If I'm not, I think there's actually two. The Russians have so many people over here that are currently working with the Department of Homeland Security. Why? Because the federal government allowed it. Even threw it through Congress and said, yeah, we're going to let the Russians come over here and bring troops so that they can possibly help us, like during a football game. I'm not kidding, look it up. Or probably, like during a concert, or, I don't know, like maybe during some protest. Bring Russian troops to help out the cops. Yeah, nothing wrong with that. Look it up. Those of you who heard, you remember it. Now, the Russian thing is tied into the monetary system. The reason the Chinese and the Russians are bringing troops over here is because of what we're talking about right now. It's preparation. Preparation for an overwhelming and all-consuming plan to decimate this country from the outside and from the inside, systematically. Look who we're dealing with. We're dealing with the Russians and we're dealing with the Chinese. I'm sorry, but the Russians have been way ahead of us when it comes to all kinds of strange research. Look it up. The Russians are way more advanced than we are when it comes to a lot of things. The Chinese, kind of the same. A lot of the ideas that we get, a lot of the crazy ideas our military gets to build things and create, I don't know, strange different ways to kill you or move you out of the way, a lot of that comes from Russia. Here's your quote. Death of the money in America. Predicting the collapse of the global monetary system from within. The quote, the collapse of the monetary system awaits the world in the near future, says financial expert James Rickard. Russia and China now desire to rid the U.S. dollar of its global reserve currency status, in an early sign of the increasingly inevitable crisis. Quote, China now has $3 trillion, but they are buying gold as fast as they can. China worries that the U.S. is going to devalue the dollar through inflation, so they want to have a hedge if the dollar goes down, so the gold will go up. China has now been buying gold like a madman. Quote, as one of the key events in support of this forecast, they're now pointing to the words uttered by Russian President Vladimir Putin at the last economic forum in St. Petersburg that took place earlier this month. Putin said he envisions an economic zone involving Eastern Europe, Central Asia, and Russia. The Russian ruble, or the ruble, is now nowhere near ready to be a global reserve currency, but it could be a regional reserve currency, he said. They're setting it up right now. Eastern Europe, Central Asia, and Russia, a Eurasian economic zone. Basically what he's saying is they're going to team together. Russia and China are teaming together as I speak, along with Iran, to convince every other nation to stop using the dollar, to convince every other nation to stop buying oil with the dollar, to refuse to buy it with the dollar, to use gold, to bring a global gold standard. Russia knows they don't have enough gold to do it. But they're paired with China, and China has enough gold to do it from behind. Russia's just going to kind of sit on the sidelines, do their military thing, because they have more troops over here than China does. So they're going to do their kind of Eurasian thing. They're going to make sure that they have all their areas covered, while China is doing the real work. China's doing the monetary stuff. Meanwhile, Russia's doing all the oil stuff. Then we bring in Iran. Now if you look at it, and I'm getting my phone calls, but you got to look at it. Russia, Iran, China. Russia has the largest amount of nuclear weapons out of anybody else on the planet. China has the largest amount of gold and people and military and evil, than anybody else on the planet. And hatred for America than anywhere else on the planet. Iran, I don't even have to say it. Oil. Saudi Arabia. Oil. The idea is to usurp the dollar from within and without. Meanwhile, bringing Russian troops over here, positioning them in very specific areas so that when this does occur, because it will occur overnight, quote, last Wednesday, China and Russia signed a historic $400 billion gas deal, which will provide the world's fastest-growing economy with the natural gas it needs to keep the pace for the next 30 years. Experts say this could be the catalyst that dethrones the dollar as the world reserve currency. I'll read that again. That's kind of confusing. Last Wednesday, China and Russia signed a $1 billion gas deal, a $400 billion gas deal, which would provide the world's fastest-growing economy, the China and Russia economy, with the natural gas it needs. In other words, so they don't have to deal with America, so that when they drop us, or when they usurp our dollar as the reserve currency, and this gold standard becomes the new gold or the new reserve currency of the world, they'll have the gas they need. They'll have the oil they need. They'll have the food they need. They'll have the clothing they need. This is preparation. This is a war. This is World War III happening now. But not in the same way that we know World War II or World War I or Vietnam or even Iran and Afghanistan. This is a smarter war. This is a much more elaborate, devious. There will be guns and people dying, and there will be bombs, and I'm not doing this to scare you. I'm doing it because you need to know. Why? Because the elite control the media. And their job is to make sure you don't know until it happens. I'm going to be back momentarily. I'm going to get straight to my phone calls, because I got to get out of here in just a bit. I'm Joshua Coy. This is Shadow Radio 101.1. We'll be right back.
My new dad threw a barbecue.
Today, my new son and I threw a barbecue.
There were burgers and chicken.
I burnt everything. The burgers, the chicken, the salad.
They were delicious.
They were awful.
And then we had watermelon.
I'm allergic to watermelon.
And then we played catch.
I broke Mr. Lewis's window, Mrs. Wakeham's window, Mrs. Wakeham's windshield, and then somehow my hand. My hand!
And then my dad even let me drive his car.
The hospital's on the right! It was a rough day.
It was a great day.
You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of kids in foster care will take you just as you are. For more information on how you can adopt, visit adoptuskids.org. A public service announcement from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
Take a look under your bed. Find stuff under there? What about jobs? No? Now try your basement. There's a pair of overalls that overall you're not so into anymore. A perfectly good laptop that hasn't seen your lap in months. And even more stuff. But still no jobs? Well, you really have both. See, stuff is defined as household articles considered as a group. Sometimes this stuff is no longer needed. Wait, no longer needed? That can't be right. Because remember those jobs you were looking for? Those are really needed. And they're the stuff inside your stuff. Even inside that winter coat that moved with you to Phoenix. Our job is to unlock those jobs. And it starts when you donate your stuff to your local Goodwill. Here's how we do it. When you donate to Goodwill, we sell your stuff to provide job training for people right here in your community. So just by teaming up with Goodwill, you help create jobs. And isn't that worth parting with the leftover keytar from your 80s cover band? Goodwill. Donate stuff, create jobs. Find your nearest donation center at goodwill.org. A message from Goodwill and the Ad Council.
Soul, got a little bit of rock and roll in my bones. Don't you bury me when I'm old. I'ma need them when I'm reborn. When I'm reborn. Got an edge you plant is doing well. I thought you'd like to know. The roses are growing on the down dog's bone. Living mommy all the time. Told you long ago. God had said our head grows long. We can work on a farm. Maybe live on a mountain. Got an old town dog who likes to run. Needs a lot of room and he hates to be chained up. Just like me. Just like we are supposed to be.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the show. Shadow Radio 101.1. We have covered a massive amount of information here this evening. I don't know if maybe I was supposed to. Maybe the Lord wanted me to get here late so that I could panic and throw together this much information. Let me go ahead and get to the phones. Everybody's holding. Hang on one second. I got Amelia on line 1. Hey Amelia.
Hi, Josh. Wonderful show again tonight. You know, the end results that are predicted to happen by you and so many other people have come up with the same conclusion of the collapse of the U.S. currency.
Mm-hmm.
It sounds like it's all planned and everybody's in on it and knows about it. And I used to blame Obama and his host of demonic helpers for all this, but you know, our congressmen have failed us, and I'm not aware of any murmur at all of any concern why the U.S. and why the Russian and Chinese troops are over here. I've never heard anybody in Congress raise the issue. They know that those guys will kill us, you know, whereas our U.S. military, some of them would not.
Right.
Some of our local police would not. So it sounds like they've got it all covered, and there's your reparations right there. And
you know, we're dealing with people who are very big on planning ahead, and they have it's easy to plan ahead when you have all the money and all the power, but and you know, I wanted to make sure I said this. I am not depressed about this. This does not depress me. This does not upset me. And the reason it doesn't is because I actually believe in my country. As naive as that may sound, I believe in liberty, freedom. I believe in the people of this nation. And that when
there's a lot of good, wonderful, patriotic Americans up there in Washington. But not enough to do any good.
Not in D.C. No. Let me get to my other calls here. I mean, I'm running out of time.
Nice talking to you again. Thank you so much.
You have a good night, okay? Thank you very much.
I will. Thank you.
Okay.
Take care.
Bye-bye. All right, let me get to Jimmy. I got Jimmy and Randy. Hang on one second. Where's the number 2? There it is. Okay. Hey, Jimmy.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm all right, man. How's it going?
All right. She kind of covered what I was going to say about the Russian troops, and I didn't realize the Chinese troops were over here too. But the fact that they wouldn't have any loyalty to or hesitate to shoot American citizens if martial law is declared. Which I saw something earlier tonight that said an executive order was signed by Obama in 2012 that essentially has us under martial law already, on a piece of paper, basically. But and something else that was alluded to was all these sinkholes that are occurring. I know it's all kind of seems off subject, but it's really not. Looking at all the increase in sinkholes, and question whether or not how much underground things are taking place, underground bunkers, underground government railways, all this kind of thing.
Yeah, I like it. That's actually that's pretty good. I need to do a show on that. That's the underground base thing. We call them DUMBs, or if you read online, they do an acronym. They call them DUMBS, Deep Underground Military Bunkers.
Right.
And the one that comes to mind, obviously, is the one out in Denver International Airport. The DIA. If anybody's never done research on the Denver International Airport, just go to Google, go to Yahoo, go to whatever your favorite search engine is. Type in Denver International Airport conspiracy. Read on, because what you're talking about is what it's all about. But the sinkhole thing, that's interesting. I hadn't thought about that. That's interesting.
Well, the sinkholes are occurring in an increasing number, and a lot of it, they're saying these underground mining that people are doing, they're going just not too far into the surface, and then as a result, obviously infrastructure starts collapsing, and they wonder why. But they talked about they haven't confirmed it, obviously, and they probably will never, of an interconnected all nationwide rail system that connects all over the country, but it's super secret, so supposedly. But interesting stuff anyway.
Yeah, I need to do something on the sinkhole thing and its connection to the DUMBS, the underground military bunkers. That's pretty good. I appreciate it, Jimmy. Thanks a lot, man.
Thank you. Bye.
All right, have a good one. Let me get to Randy real quick. Hey, Randy.
Hey, Josh.
How's it going, man?
That's all right. Hey, have you ever heard of a lady named Jo Veon?
How you spell the last name?
V-E-O-N.
No, I haven't. No.
Look this up, man. It ties into all these stories. She's attended all these UN meetings back in the 90s and stuff. I think you'll be really impressed. And all these stories will tie together what she does. It's blowing my mind.
What was
Write it down. Huh?
What was?
Okay.
Spell it for me one more time. I got a pen.
Joan. First name is Joan.
Okay.
Last name is Veon. V-E-O-N.
V-E-O-N. All right, cool.
Okay, and look at this website. This is all one word typed in. newswiththeviews.com, and you'll find all her archives on there.
All right, cool. Thank you, man.
Check that out, man. Your mind will be blown.
All right.
Later on, my brother.
I appreciate it, man. Be careful.
Right, bye.
Yeah, that's good. I love when people give me more information. That's awesome. How long I got, Daniel? My I can't even talk. My clock over here is always off, man. I got 4. All right. I got 4 minutes, kids. 4 minutes to wrap up the World War III story. Actually, that's basically it. But like our callers have already reiterated, there is so much more. These stories never end. And I what Amelia was saying, that I agree with her, and the Russian troops being over here, I've done a lot of shows on the Russian troops, and the fact that our government has allowed them over here, not in secret, but signed an agreement with Russia to allow Russian troops in America to assist at football games and parades and protests, and we have people in Colorado to go back to what was it Jimmy that was saying that, the thing about the sinkholes, to go back to the underground military bunker thing. it's all connected. This is preparation. Everything that Russia and China are doing. You know, I'll tell you one thing. And this is something that just personally I think about a lot. I'm sitting here and I'm telling you all about Russia, China, Iran trying to decimate our country from within and without. But then over here I've got the Bilderberg Group. And the Bilderberg Group is not an American group. This is a group of international elite, international bankers from those countries, from China and Russia and from Iran, from Saudi Arabia. And they're meeting right now with American bankers. Back in the time of these bank panics, when the guys who wanted to build the Federal Reserve were creating these bank panics all over the country to freak the American people out, to get their way, I think a lot of the things they do are to freak the American people out, those that are paying attention. Like I said, they delegated all that down to the NSA. Here, NSA, you pay attention to these people who are waking up. Because that number's way too high. It's dangerously high, according to Zbigniew Brzezinski, National Security Advisor to every president since Kennedy. It's way too high. Too many people waking up. Exponentially. They delegated that to the NSA. Why? So they can focus on this. So a part of me is going, are they all in this together? Is this all just an idea of, like Amelia said, all these evil people all gathered together to do one thing? Or is it really just Russia, Iran, and China secretly doing something against all these other bankers that they're currently, hanging out with right now in Copenhagen at the Bilderberg meeting? I don't know the answer to that question. I'm sure in time we will know it. And I said I was going to do this. And I am going to do this before I get out of here. I wanted to read this before I went out. I said I was going to start doing a scripture before I head out of here from the Bible. This being My America. This being a country based on Christianity, decimated by the elite. Quote, "The Lord will bless you and protect you. The Lord will make his face shine upon you and show you his favor. The Lord will lift up his face toward you and give you peace." That's Numbers 6:24 through 26. I honestly am not... I'm intimidated by all this stuff. I'm always intimidated by it. But it doesn't depress me. And it doesn't get me down. Don't ask me why. It's just because I believe in good over evil. And these men are evil. Alright, kids. I'm Joshua Coy. I'm going to go to the Facebook page. You can. JOSHUA space COY. Go to the Facebook page. Send me a message. Send me some stories. Thanks for the calls, guys. Thanks for the open minds. Peace.
Contact Joshua Coy by emailing shadowradio@yahoo.com. Don't forget to tune in next Saturday night at 9 p.m. when Josh will be broadcasting live from Kylar City, the capital of the 5th dimension, on Superstation 101.